Hi, welcome. Let's make ourselves our very first program. Traditionally, the first computer program that was ever written was called Hello World. So, out of tradition, we always begin by programming Hello World. So, if you're not here on this screen, make sure you click the scratch button. It'll bring you to the starter screen. And what we're going to be doing is creating our very first thing. So, we're going to press the create button, and it's going to bring us up our menu options. And I'm going to hit F11 on my computer so I get a little more space and you can see a little bit more. You don't have to, but that way you'll know why it's different. So what I have here is I have my menu screen. So on the left-hand side, all these colors are the different things I can click in. Now in block programming, what they do is they take a whole mess of textual, that means people who write long text, and they put it into a block of code that you can move around and attach to other blocks. And these blocks have some things that you can and can't modify. And it allows you to create a bigger program. This is very common. Block coding is common throughout everything as well as textual. So over here, we've got the code, we've got costumes. Now, we're going to get to this, but this guy over here is called a sprite. And you'll see him right here. And these are, they call them costumes, but there are different ways that the sprite can be shown. And you can see if I click back and forth in these sprites, it kind of looks like he's running along, and that's what it's supposed to. So that's a sprite, and these are his costumes. Next is sounds. Generally, you got one sound in this. This guy has the meow sound. I can press the sound. Now, if you guys do that too much at home, you're going to know your parents. So I'm going to go back and click the code. As I go across, I'll come back to the top. I look over here. This is my stage, and it shows me what is actually going to show up in my program. This is all the user, the person who's using your program, is going to see is what's on the stage. Down here is our sprite area. It's where we can have sprites. Sprites are things that appear on the stage. To the right here is our backdrops. Right now we've got one backdrop. It's plain white. It's pretty boring. It's called our stage backdrops. Now, if you'll notice, this sprite character also reappears here in this corner of our coding section because all the coding is attached to a sprite or to a backdrop. You can't just have coding running in the program. It has to be attached to one of those things. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clear my stuff out. I'm going to delete my sprite. I got a backdrop. I got nothing there. I got no sprite. I got to delete. So I'm like in a clean screen right now. I'm going to go to the top, and I'll see some things across here. I can change my language. I can do some file actions. I haven't really done anything with it yet. I can do some edit actions. Again, haven't done anything. Right now, I'm going to rename this program up here where it says this big white area. I'm going to type that Hello World. That's our first program, so we're going to write Hello World. Now, there's a couple ways I can save this. If you go all the way to the right, you'll see some stuff over here to include who you are, your files, and one that says Save Now. If you press that, it'll say Project Saved. So anytime up here you see the button that says Save Now, save it. I could also do that by going to File and hitting Save Now under the file, and it would be the same thing. So let's get some stuff going on. We're going to create a program. One, I need a stage. A blank white screen is not a stage. So I'm going to go over here to where it says Stage, the far right here, and I'm going to go to the bottom where it says Choose a Backdrop. And I'm going to, and you can see you can do some other things. You can paint your own. You can do that. We'll get to the uploading and stuff. So you can choose a backdrop. There are a lot. You could pick almost anything, patterns, blue skies. I'm going to make a froggy. So I'm going to search over here. I'm going to search for water because that's where frogs belong. And I found a couple. My froggy doesn't want to live in the city. He doesn't want to live underwater. He wants to live on a rock. There's a good one. It's got some rocks for him to live on. So I have a background. Now, it's kind of a small picture up there in the corner. It's hard to see. If you go above that, you'll see some options. The first one makes it really teeny weeny hard to see. Then it's the one we had. And the last one shows you everything that whoever is watching or playing with your program will see. That's what it looks like. So I'm good with that. I got a watery background. Now I need a sprite. Remember, a sprite is something you put on. So I'm going to go down here to pick a sprite. And I'm going to choose a frog. I'm going to choose this guy with his tongue hanging out in the air. And now I've got a sprite. So my sprite, I can move around the screen by just clicking on him and dragging him. You'll also know as I do that, the X and Y grids for my sprite change. See how the numbers are changing? That's that whole math thing. He's on a grid. He starts up here, and he can go all the way down to here. Right in the middle of somewhere is 0, 0. That's the origin where all froggies start. Oh, I can't find it. I could type it. I type 0, 0, and now Froggy's at the origin. But Froggy wants to sit on this rock right here. So, one, I'm going to change the name of my sprite. I'm going to call my sprite Bob the Frog. Because every frog needs a name. Now, my sprite is a little big for his rock. So I'm going to change the size of my sprite. He starts at 100. That's 100%. I can make him much bigger. So I can make Bob stupidly large. That Bob's too big now. I'm going to make Bob about 85. It looks like Bob fits on the rock pretty good at 85. I could change his direction, which I don't want to do, but that will change his spin. So I can make Bob go up in the air and point up, but Bob would look silly doing that. So now I've got Bob the Frog. I've kind of done a whole thing. Let me look at and see what he looks like on the whole screen. Bob the Frog looks good sitting there on the rock in his string. He's a good looking frog. So I'm going to get out of that. And I'm going to go press the Save Now button because you should save often. So now I've got Bob the Frog. I'm going to do some coding. Remember the first thing we talked about? All coding is attached to the sprite. You'll notice that when I changed it down here to Bob the Frog, you can see in my coding background a kind of light image of Bob the Frog. So I know I'm coding on Bob. So here's the deal. I'm going to make Bob say hello world. Pretty simple. Over here on the far left, you've got some color-coded sensors, and they tell different things you can do. Right now is motion. Motion says to move, change, go around, scoot across, do all of this stuff. I'm going to go down to purple looks, and there we go. It's got say hello. So I want mine to, and I'm going to change the hello. You can change it anything you want, but I want mine to say hello world. So once I type that, I can just click it, and ta-da, Bob says hello world. If I want to clear the screen up here, I just press the little red stop sign, and it goes away. Now, it's not really a program if I'm actually clicking in the blocks to make things work. That's not how programs work. Programs work by clicking or doing some action. So generally, Scratch uses the green flag as a start flag. So I'm going to go to the Events tab, and I'm going to say when the green flag is clicked, I want Bob to say hello world. So I'm going to click it. And there it goes. And I can stop up here. I can press the green flag over here, and it works just fine. Okay, Bob's good. Remember, save often, save now. As you're going, you can always go back in this video and rewatch. You can pause as we go if I haven't said that. If I'm going too fast, slow me down. We can also do this together. All right, well, my program functions as hello world, but it's a little boring. I want some sound. Because I can have sound, I want some sound. Now, the first thing you do, so sound is covered under the purple sound bar, and you'll notice that right now, I want to play a sound. I'm going to put start sound, and I'm going to drop it right between the two. There's a drop down arrow for sounds, but it only gives me a couple things. I could record a sound and make it say that, but I'm not really up to that right now. But right now it's pop. Well, frogs sound dumb when they say pop. Here we go. Yeah, that sounds dumb. If I go up to the sound tab up here, I can actually add more sounds. So I can go down here to the lower left and choose a sound. I'm going to choose a sound from the Animals tab. There's a ton of sounds here. And I'm going to pick Jungle Frogs because that seems right. Let me listen to what it sounds like. Okay, that makes Bob happy. So I got my code. Now I can go here to where it says Start Pop and change that. And you'll notice now Jungle Frogs chose as an answer. You must remember that you have to save the sounds in the sound tabs in order for them to appear out here. Even though I know that Jungle Frogs exists, if I don't go in the sound tab and bring it into this specific program, it'll never show up. So now I've got when click, it starts. I'm going to hit my save now, and I'm going to hit my green arrow. Actually, let me full screen this so I can get a really good feel of it. Hit my stop sign. Here's a green arrow. Okay, it popped up Hello World so fast, I feel like you might have missed it. I'm going to do one last thing to this program. I'm going to put a little delay. I want the sounds to start, and then like 2 seconds later, I want it to say Hello World. So to do that, I'm going to go over here to Control. Control are the same things, and it's funny. These are really the same colors we saw in the Lego robots. I'm going to go for a wait block, and you've heard that before. And I'm going to change my wait block from 1 second to 2 seconds. I'm going to save now. I'm going to pull my screen big, and let's hit that green arrow and see what happens. Sound and hello world. I'm happy. My program is a success. I'm going to stop it. I'm going to make sure I save, which I have. I have one last step, and that's to share it with the world and to share it with Mr. Wheeler. Because if you don't share it with me, I won't know you did it. So there's a button up here called Share. We're going to click the Share button. The Share button brings us to a screen. That's what everyone sees. So in the Share button, you've got the name. You've got your picture. Hopefully you get a better picture than that. I'll update my picture by the next time I make this video. You've got some instructions. Tell them how to use the video. Just press the green flag to hear Bob the Frog. That's enough. And I get notes and credits. This was made as my very first Scratch program. Now, if you don't put things like instructions, you don't put notes and credits, expect to get poor grades. It's nice to tell somebody. The worst program you ever get is one of those where you have no idea what to do because they don't give you instructions on what to do with it. And you kind of sit there until you get angry and frustrated and go on. So I've done this and I'm good. I'm going to go down here and press copy link. Once I press that, you'll see that it shows a link up here that says Scratch MIT EDU projects and gives a big long number. If you press copy link and you go into Classroom and paste that link in there, that's all I need for you to turn in your project. So I hope that was good for you. Here's what Bob has to say. I can't wait to see your creative programs.